Monday, the 9th of December. Welcome to Business Morning. This is the show live here on Channels Television, Nigeria's news leader. I am Bosin Amafai. Let's get started. The countdown to 2019 year-end is here, but quite a few unfinished business for President Buhari's administration. Let's give you a snapshot, and if you think this list is a little bit short, you can add to it. And let's get a conversation online. You know how to find us at Channels TV, at B's Morning, or you can tag me as well at B Bosin. So the Budget 2020 final app, it was signed off last week by the National Assembly, 10.6 trillion. How soon before December 31st or before Christmas will President Buhari sign off on this document and makes it official? That will restore Nigeria's budget process back to those good years of January to December. That's one big story. Everyone is talking about it. The business community is happy. At least for the first time, the national budget will be out. Then everyone can look up to it, then use it as a mirror for their own budgeting for the new year. This is one good story that we're following for you. Meantime, the president is requesting for $22.7 billion external loan from the National Assembly. How soon will the Assembly sit down, consider this, and get back to Mr. President or the executive branch? Is part of the unfinished business of 2019. Will this loan, the borrowing plan, be agreed upon before we wrap up the year, and we have a plan of how much we're borrowing, for what, and into the new year? How soon will we get them into those critical projects, nearly 40 of them outlined by the executive branch in what was sent to the National Assembly? Then you have the payment of the minimum wage. Mr. President says it should be paid all the way back to April when it was first signed, and it should be done before December the 31st. So this big pot of money is what everyone is as expected. The market are also waiting for this. Perhaps a few of it will flow into financial assets such as stocks, bonds, and the rest. Then what is the fate of the Federal Inland Revenue Service Chief, Babatunde Fowler? His tenure technically expired last week. The presidency or the executive branch is yet to say a word. Will he continue in office for another 5 years, or will Mr. President appoint another head for the Inland Revenue Service? One big story, because a lot will happen to your tax life in 2020. So you need to know who is the head of that agency. Meantime, the meeting of ECOWAS presidents takes place later this month to decide on the new ECOWAS single currency, dubbed ECO. Will President Buhari sign on behalf of the Nigerian government? That's a critical question. President Obasanjo back then backed out of that currency and says Nigeria was not ready. What will be the decision of Nigerian president this time around? It's one story still out there. Meantime, the NERC, that's the regulator in the power sector, says it's ready to withdraw the licenses of DISCOs, or power distribution companies. That deadline has since expired. We're waiting to hear from NERC. And how soon will we get done with the Lagos-Ibadan highway repair? It's been reopened for the year-end vehicular movement. But how soon will this highway be completed? From all indications, it won't be completed until year 2020. Maybe that will be the finality for this very critical transport and logistics artery of Nigeria's economic heartbeat, Lagos State. Let's talk about the aviation industry. And the chief of AMCON, that's the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, Ahmed Kuru, gives what you call a long list of issues that he says is resulting in the high mortality rate of local airlines in Nigeria. Take your time. Now, take a look. Why do our airlines fail in Nigeria? The number one on the list is greed by the airline owners. That is out there. The agency, AMCON, has said this a number of times, saying airline owners or the founders of airlines are greedy. Number two, financial rascality. That's how the press statement issued over the weekend from AMCON says. There's a lot of financial rascality by local airlines. Number three, overbearing charges and taxes by regulators within the commercial aviation sector. Then you have the unpredictable and unstable foreign exchange regime impacting the business of commercial aviation. Then you have lack of good corporate governance principles. That is, the airlines are run with very bad governance. Then there is absence of due diligence. And breaking that down for you, due diligence means you do your homework, as it were, to put it in a street parlance before you get into the business of aviation. Then over-invoicing. That is one big business there. If you know the business of business and accounting, you know what is called over-invoicing. In other words, you want to import an airplane for $10 million and you over-invoice it for $15 or $25 million. That's one of the problems why airlines fail in Nigeria. The next one. Banks are rushing to fund airlines without the requisite knowledge of the sector. The head of AMCON, Ahmed Kuru, says, from what we know, there are serious issues in aircraft financing because our people dabble into the business of aviation with the wrong capital mix. And the banks, according to Kuru, who are the primary source of funding, also have short-term views about the business because the banks do not understand the business. It is easy for any sharp businessman with dubious intentions to approach them with dodgy proposal to float an airline just to get loans that will go bad shortly after. That looks like an epitaph for an industry that mortality rate is very high, Nigeria's commercial aviation business. Where are we on My Business Street? International Breweries PLC is looking for 165 billion by offering 18.266 billion, by offering 18.2 billion shares, 9 naira per share, and that's the largest rights issue in Nigeria's market history. The brewer of Budweiser, Trophy, and other products is looking for this money to deleverage his balance sheet and go after other businesses, including ramping up on its existing operations. That's there on the street for you this morning. Let's just put that aside and get on to talk about the business of cotton industry. This is one industry that the Buhari's administration wants the textile industries back. We had more than 100 textiles in the country, and we were growing cotton in different parts of the country. Now through the central bank, the government is coming back, talking to some state governors, talking to industry stakeholders. So we need to talk to one person in the industry, and that is Dr. Rose Gidado, who is the country director, Open Forum for Agric Biotechnology. Good morning, madam. Thanks for coming through from our Abuja studio.
Good morning. Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Good morning.
I hope you had a very nice weekend, madam.
Thank you.
Great. So when you look at the industry and what President Buhari's administration is trying to do through the Central Bank of Nigeria, meeting with some state governors and meeting with some cotton farmers, are you encouraged by what you've seen and you've heard so far in recent months?
Yeah, I'm really encouraged because at least the government is taking steps to address this challenge. It's been a very major challenge. If we could remember, early in the 70s, the cotton industry, the textile industry was actually the second employer of labor because it was vibrant. At least farmers had access to seeds and all. So the textile industry was actually doing very well. But, along the line, from the 80s, 90s down to now, the textile industry went down, and up till now, they're still moribund because of lack of access to improved seeds, access to raw materials, and they're still down for now. And so now that the government has taken steps to address this issue, I believe that it's going to be good for the textile industry, it's going to be good for the garment industries, and so on and so forth. At least farmers would smile. The drudgery in cotton cultivation is actually very high. The farmers, most farmers, around the cotton growing zones, they abandoned cotton cultivation because of the drudgery involved in it. You have to do so many sprays. You have to spray like 10, 12 times before you are able to get good yields and so on and so forth. The insects and pests, infestation on the cotton. Cotton is susceptible to to a lot of insects attack, and so farmers don't really realize, good yields and so on and so forth. And this has actually affected the textile industry and the ginneries as well, because of lack of access to quality, quality seeds, access to improved seeds, seeds that can give the farmers yield, and so on and so forth. So, but with this, with the coming in, with the intervention of Mr. President, and then CBN coming in to assist the farmers, and then to assist maybe the research institutes, so that cotton seeds will actually be improved, so that farmers would get the value, for the seeds they are going to use, and so on and so forth. So I think this is a very welcome development. I would like to commend Mr. President, for this initiative that he has taken. I would also like to commend the Central Bank of Nigeria for this great intervention. It's actually going to help in revamping this industry and then contribute, to the economy, and then farmers will actually be empowered. And I think farmers will actually have the value for what they are going to use, the kind of seeds they are going to
Dr.
have
Gidado,
very soon.
Dr. Gidado, I'm sure through your open forum for agric biotechnology, I'm sure you've interacted with Nigerian farmers in the continent and others within the value chain. What are the key issues for them here in your one-on-one interactions on the phone, on the farm, across various stakeholders meetings you've had? What really is the concerns here, hands-on?
Okay, the concerns for farmers, based on the interactions I've had with them during the many fora that we have actually had, is one, is the insect and pest infestation, during cultivation of cotton. Cotton is, like I said earlier, susceptible to so many insect attacks. The insects, once you plant, and the plant has come up during the flowering stage, they are being attacked during the ball formation. We have what we call the pink bollworm. The pink bollworm can make a farmer to lose whatever he has produced. And then the quality of the leaves, of course, they are being reduced, because even not only just that pink bollworm, but there are also other insects that affect, they feed on, once the ball are formed and they open up and the leaves are open. These insects go about, feeding on those things, and then the quality goes down. And so it's hard to actually, be accepted. The textile industry will not accept if the quality is below standard. And then it's difficult, it makes it difficult for cotton to be imported from Nigeria, and so on and so forth. And then another factor is having access to improved seeds, and then having access to quantity, seed quantity, having the right quantity and then at the right time of planting. Farmers always have that problems, and the reason for this, of course, is because of, those seeds. Most seeds in Nigeria are not, standard seeds, because the quality is low, they are not improved. Improvement in this, sector, even the breeders, for some time, they ran away from cotton breeding, and then I think it has taken how many years that cotton has not been improved. The last cotton improvement, I think, is almost like 14 years ago or so. And so that is why, these are the main problems the farmers have, always had, and their complaints, having the seeds, the right seeds, the right quality seeds, and then having the right quantity, because it is very key. Seed is actually a very, very critical component in agriculture. If you get it at the seed level, you've gotten everything. Because with quality seeds, you can have yield, and then you can also have, 100%, either 100 or nearly, maybe from 80 to 100% viability rate, and so on and so forth. And so these are the problems the farmers have always had, because they have to do so many space. If you don't have the right seed, the qualities, the improved seeds, of course, there's going to be a lot of drudgery and a lot of spraying. The farmer will, always spray many times, and most of them are peasant farmers. They cannot afford to buy chemicals all the time, spray like 10 times. And once it rains, if you spray now, maybe within an hour and it rains, everything goes off, because you have to go and buy again because, these insects, and then with time, the insects grow resistance to these chemicals. So these are some of the problems the farmers have had and many other problems.
What about funding?
Yeah, okay, access to funds, yeah, I think it's one of it. Credit, access to credit, facilities and what has actually not been there because some of them cannot afford, especially if you say you want to do business, you want to go into business farming, it's really very difficult because most of our farmers are into subsistence farming, because they don't have the money to go into large-scale farming, to business farming. And then also another problem with cotton cultivation is weed invasiveness. The weed invasiveness, you have to spray so many times, and then here, there's no mechanization. Mechanization is another big problem because if you really want to go into business farming, you have to, go into mechanization. But with without access to, machines, these machines that farmers outside the country, in other developed world use, to go into business farming because they have planters, they have harvesters, but here, because there's no access, and even if there's access, farmers don't have that kind of money to go into mechanical farming. But with the intervention of CBN, with the intervention of Mr. President, I think all these facilities, I'm sure, are going to be made available to farmers so that farming in this sector can be improved, can be revamped, so that the textile industries will come back, fully blown. And of course, this can contribute to economic growth and then contribute also to exports, so that we'll be able to export our, raw materials outside, and then we'll have enough in the country and be able to export, so that foreign exchange, of course, can be earned.
Biotechnology, Dr. Gidado, is also important, and I'm sure this is one area where you're a professional in that line. Bring that into this conversation for us, please.
Yeah, biotechnology can actually help, especially in making farmers have access to these quality seeds, because with the use of modern biotechnology tools, seeds can be improved. We can have pest and insect resistant seeds. We can also have herbicide tolerant seeds, so that with the insect resistant seeds, of course, it increases yield, and then it makes the farmer, once yield is increased, the farmer becomes, empowered, and then, and also with the seeds that are herbicide tolerant, of course, this invasiveness of weed invasiveness is being taken care of. You can spray your farm, your crop is okay, but the weeds all die off, because weed invasiveness is one major challenge to having high yield. And farming, of course, is all about having harvestable yields, having great yield. With strong yields, of course, you are already there. You can make profit. If you have a lot of yields, you can make profit, and then you can make a lot of money. And then, of course, the economy of the country will be improved, and the farmer would also be empowered, and so on and so forth. And so biotechnology, of course, is an intervention tool, is a tool that can really help with biotech seeds, because farmers all over the world, in all the developed countries, in US, in Canada, in Brazil, they have practiced this technology, and this technology has been proven to be really useful. We have 18 million farmers across the globe that are into biotechnology crops. It has contributed to their economies. We have Brazil, we have Argentina. They were in the same class with Nigeria, but today, Argentina and Brazil and Canada, of course, and India, they have gone far ahead of Nigeria because of the adoption of this technology. Even though here in Nigeria, we have a national biotechnology management, biotechnology development agency, which is an agency that was actually put up in 2001 by the government to promote this technology, to coordinate biotech activities. We also have a safety valve in place, and that's the National Biosafety Management Agency, which is an agency that has been established to, of course, regulate the use of this modern tool, which is very helpful for farmers and in other areas of, yeah.
Yes, Dr. Gidado, thank you so much. You've given us such an elaborate view of the cotton industry, and we appreciate your drill down of all the facts and the issues, in particular from the angle of the farmers. Thank you so much. We need to leave the conversation here at this point. We look forward to having you on the show in the very near future. Dr. Idris Gidado, thank you so much. The Country Director, Open Forum
thank you very much.
Agriculture, Biotechnology. We'll take a break, everyone, and we'll go straight into our marketplace.